You float in a darkness so complete it feels alive. There is no sound, no up or down, only the stillness that once held every potential universe. It isn't a frightening darkness, it is calm, endless, and strangely kind. You realize this is where everything begins, not in chaos, but in perfect quiet. You breathe slowly, though breath has no meaning here. The air of your imagination mingles with the vacuum of eternity. You feel suspended in a vast nothing, yet the nothing hums. It vibrates faintly, like a memory trying to form. This is not empty space, it is pregnant with energy. Physicists call it the quantum vacuum, but its truer name might be possibility itself. Even when stripped of matter and light, space still trembles with potential. Invisible particles flicker into being and vanish again, like the heartbeat of creation. You can almost hear them, the soft rhythm of the universe before it spoke. In this stillness, time hasn't yet begun. There is no before, no after, only a field of timeless waiting. You sense how rare this is, a universe before its first breath. It feels both intimate and infinite. And then, somewhere within the darkness, a ripple, one fluctuation, perhaps no larger than a whisper, disturbs the perfect balance. From that smallest tremor, everything that will ever exist begins to unfold. It is as if stillness itself decided to move. You drift closer to that motion, watching as energy unfurls from the invisible into the visible. The laws of physics, once dormant, awaken like ancient songs remembered by light. Expansion begins, the great outward sigh of being. The Big Bang is not an explosion, as you may have once imagined, but an opening. Space itself stretches, blossoming from nothing into everything. You are not outside it, watching. You are within it, expanding with it. Each atom of your being stretching toward the horizon of time. The darkness does not disappear, it deepens. Within it, pockets of brightness begin to form. Hydrogen, helium, the first atoms dancing in the cosmic dawn. The universe is still mostly dark, but now it carries the faint glow of intention. Billions of years pass in a breath. You drift through a sea of scattered gas, still dim, still cold. Gravity, the quiet sculptor, begins its patient work, gathering, shaping, drawing threads of matter together. You feel its pull, gentle, insistent. Eternal. Gravity is not a force of destruction, but of belonging. It is the cosmic embrace that teaches particles how to come together, how to stay. And so, under its tender guidance, the first stars ignite. Imagine it, an endless night pierced by the birth of light. Those stars burn quietly at first, not with violence, but with purpose. In their cores, fusion begins. Hydrogen becomes helium, and with every transformation, energy ripples outward, painting the dark with gold. You watch the first starlight cross the universe. It travels through the void like a promise, a message written in photons, saying, "You are not alone in the dark." As you drift closer, the stars shimmer like thoughts forming in a sleeping mind. You begin to sense the rhythm, creation, expansion, rest. The cosmos is not chaos. It is breathing. Every galaxy, every cluster of stars, every swirling cloud of dust is part of a grand inhalation and exhalation, a pulse that continues even now within you. For inside your own body, the atoms born in those first stars live on. The carbon that shapes your thoughts, the iron flowing through your blood, the calcium in your bones, all came from those early fires. You are not a visitor in the universe. You are its continuation. And yet, even with all this brilliance, most of the cosmos remains dark. Scientists call it dark energy and dark matter, invisible yet powerful, unseen scaffolding, holding everything together. It reminds you that what you cannot see still shapes what you are. Darkness, then, is not the absence of light, but its foundation. You begin to notice how comforting that is, that even in the blackest stretches of the sky, there is structure, quiet intelligence, harmony beyond sight. The stars hum softly now, a music too vast to hear. Their light travels for billions of years, touching everything in its path, dust, planets, the eyes of dreamers. And when it finally reaches you, you feel it not only as light, but as lineage. You close your eyes. Behind your eyelids, the darkness looks like the cosmos. It occurs to you that your mind is not so different from space itself, full of silent motion, full of potential, yet unseen. Thoughts form and dissolve like particles in a quantum field. Memories drift like stars. Consciousness expands and contracts, mirroring the rhythm of creation. You realize that when you close your eyes to rest, you re-enter that ancient darkness, the same space that existed before light, before matter. Sleep is your own small Big Bang in reverse, a return to stillness, a journey back to where all things begin. In that darkness, your body regenerates, your brain resets, your dreams rise like new galaxies. You are both creator and observer, both matter and awareness. You float again, weightless in imagination. Around you, galaxies form spirals, ellipses, clusters, each one a cosmic garden blooming from gravity's patience. The darkness between them is not empty, it is fertile. You sense that space itself may be conscious in some way, aware of its unfolding, alive through its connections. Each photon knows where to go, each particle finds its balance, as if the universe carries memory. And within that memory, you exist, a single awareness, reflecting on the totality that made you possible. Your heartbeat slows to match the pulse of the cosmos. Inhale, expansion. Exhale, return. In this rhythm, time softens. The boundaries between your body and the stars dissolve. You are no longer looking into space. You are within it, and it is within you. Every inhale feels like the drawing in of starlight. Every exhale feels like release into infinity. You begin to understand why darkness soothes you. It is not the opposite of life. It is its cradle. It is where energy gathers before becoming form, where ideas rest before becoming thought, where sleep begins before turning into dream. The cosmos, in all its immensity, was once this very silence, and in that silence, all possibility waited. Now, as you drift deeper, you feel gratitude for the dark, for the unseen fields that hold everything steady, for the spaces between stars that make their light meaningful. You think of how every scientist, every dreamer, every explorer has looked into this same darkness and found not fear, but wonder. Perhaps that is the secret of the cosmos, that creation begins not with brightness, but with calm, not with noise, but with listening. The universe is not rushing anywhere. Its expansion, its birth, its beauty, all unfold at the pace of eternity. You find comfort in that rhythm. You imagine the next moment of the cosmic story. the formation of stars and worlds, the swirling dust that will become oceans, skies, and lives. You sense it, waiting beyond this calm, a quiet promise held in gravity's hand, as you float in the gentle darkness of space. Your awareness becomes light, patient, luminous, at peace. And just as the first stars are about to form, you hear a whisper rising from the silence, not in words, but in feeling. From this stillness, creation begins, and you drift toward that first light. Before you, the darkness stretches, calm and ancient, holding its breath. But within it, something stirs. The quiet energy that once rested in silence begins to shimmer, gathering, folding, awakening. It is time for the universe to dream in color. You drift closer, watching ripples of hydrogen and helium swirl like mist across the void. Gravity, that patient sculptor, calls them home, drawing invisible threads together, pulling matter into embrace. Slowly, delicately, the first clouds of creation collapse inward. There is no sound here, only motion, vast, gentle, inevitable. As these cosmic clouds condense, pressure rises. The atoms inside begin to collide, dancing faster, closer, until their boundaries blur. Within the heart of each cloud, heat blooms, not like fire, but like breath, glowing from within. And then, at last, light. The first stars ignite. A flare of radiance bursts through the darkness, and the universe sees itself for the first time. The light is soft, ancient, golden. It travels freely for the first time since time began, carrying the message of existence across the empty sea. You watch as the newborn stars awaken across the cosmos like fireflies in a boundless meadow. Their light touches everything, dust, gas, and the silent observer you have become. For a moment, you realize how profound this is. The stars are not just burning, they are transforming. In their hearts, nuclear fusion begins, hydrogen joining hydrogen to create helium, releasing energy, light, and warmth. This quiet miracle becomes the foundation of all future creation. Every atom of light that will ever exist begins here. You float near one of these young stars, a giant, pulsing sphere of plasma and purpose. Its surface ripples with golden storms. Its core hums with power beyond comprehension. Around it, clouds of dust and gas swirl like dancers, forming a luminous disk. This is a nursery, a place where planets will be born. The light touches you softly, filling your vision with warmth. The star's energy feels almost conscious, as if it knows it carries the seeds of life in its flame. You sense the deep truth. Stars are not distant objects. They are engines of becoming. Without them, there would be no carbon, no oxygen, no life to wonder at their beauty. Inside their cores, matter transforms into possibility. Imagining that same process happening inside you, transformation through heat, through pressure, through time, you realize that creation often begins with friction, with tension. Just as stars must collapse before they shine, your own growth, too, is born from moments of compression, times when energy builds quietly before it bursts into light. The universe and the self are reflections of each other. The star continues to pulse, its magnetic fields weaving arcs of fire that curve gracefully into the surrounding void. Tiny grains of dust within its halo begin to cling together, guided by gravity's patient hand. They collide and merge, growing from grains to pebbles, from pebbles to boulders, from boulders to worlds. Planetary seeds are forming tiny beginnings that will someday host oceans, skies, and minds that gaze back in awe. You float among them, watching this slow ballet unfold over millions of years. The process is not hurried. There is no rush in creation. Dust gathers, falls apart, gathers again. Time stretches like silk, soft and endless. Each orbit, each collision, each quiet spark of fusion adds another note to the cosmic symphony. And in that rhythm, you hear something familiar, the pulse of life before life, the pattern that repeats across every scale of existence. Stars breathe as you do, expansion, contraction, release. Inhale, gravity draws matter inward. Exhale, fusion releases energy outward. The balance between these two, pull and push, contraction and release, keeps the star alive. It is a lesson written in light. Equilibrium sustains creation. You look out and see countless others, forming some small and soft, glowing in amber hues. Others, massive, blue-white giants, radiating fierce brilliance. Together they fill the once empty universe with illumination. Their light ripples through space, scattering like seeds. It touches clouds of dust far away, igniting more stars, more beginnings. The cosmos becomes self-sustaining, a chain reaction of creation, born from curiosity and fire. You drift through this newborn light, and the sense of time dissolves. Billions of years could pass like minutes. Minutes could stretch into eternity. All that remains is the feeling, a still, profound recognition that you are witnessing something sacred. The moment the universe begins to see itself, to feel its own beauty, you pass near a cluster of stars, newly formed, bound together by gravity's invisible threads. Some shine with steady grace, others pulse in rhythm, expanding and contracting like luminous hearts. Each one is a story, a possibility, a beginning. Among them, faint shadows appear, disks of gas swirling around their centers. These are protoplanetary systems, the wombs of worlds yet unborn. You drift closer, tracing the spirals with your mind. You see patterns within patterns, eddies of dust that will become moons, rings of rock that will grow into planets. The temperature varies across the disk, warm near the star, cold at the edges. This balance will decide what kinds of worlds will form, rocky, gaseous, icy, or something entirely new. It strikes you that even chaos creates harmony when given time. The collisions and turbulence are not disorder. They are the language of formation. Every impact, every fragment contributes to the final shape. In the same way, your own experiences, even the difficult ones, become part of your structure, refining your orbit around meaning. The cosmos teaches gently, without words, as the first planetary embryos take form. Their orbits stabilize, tracing elegant ellipses around their parent stars. The dust thins, revealing glowing worlds wrapped in faint light. You can almost see them breathe, their surfaces molten, their skies hazy with promise. And though they are lifeless for now, they hold within them every ingredient needed for existence. You imagine one of these worlds cooling, hardening, waiting. Someday, perhaps, oceans will shimmer across its surface. Clouds will gather and rain. Simple cells will awaken and begin the long story toward consciousness. But for now, it dreams in silence. Around you, the universe hums with youth. Light travels freely, scattering off cosmic dust, painting the dark with blues and golds. You see nebulae, vast clouds, shaped by stellar winds, glowing like watercolor across the void. These are stellar nurseries, cradles of countless suns. Within them, hydrogen clouds stretch for light years, illuminated by the stars they nurture. Their beauty feels infinite, but their purpose is clear: to continue the cycle of birth and renewal. As you drift through one of these nebulae, color surrounds you: violet mist, crimson folds, golden sparks. It feels like floating through the universe's first dream. You think of how fragile this process is, how many stars fail to ignite, how many clouds collapse too soon. Yet the universe persists, trying again and again. It seems to have infinite patience for creation. You feel that same patience within yourself, the quiet knowing that becoming takes time. The first lights of the cosmos remind you that even the smallest spark can reshape everything. From the tiniest atom to the largest galaxy, all creation begins with one act of ignition. One moment when possibility says yes to being dot, and in that yes, everything changes. You open your awareness wider, sensing the full sweep of this transformation. The darkness of Chapter 1 now feels different, not empty, but fulfilled. The silence has found its song, the stillness its pulse. You realize that light and dark were never opposites. They are companions in the same eternal dance. Without one, the other would lose meaning. As you drift farther from the first stars, you look back and see the universe glowing, a vast ocean of newborn suns. Their light stretches across space, illuminating the path ahead. You know this is only the beginning. The stars will live, burn, and die. From their ashes, new elements will form the very dust that will become new worlds. And one day, life. You watch one star flicker, its brilliance steady yet finite, and you wonder what happens after a star's final breath. You drift toward that thought, gently, curiously, following the glow as it fades into the deep calm beyond light. The question lingers, like a heartbeat in the dark. When stars end, what new worlds begin? You drift now from the glow of newborn stars into the soft swirl of dust and gas that surrounds them. The star's warmth breathes outward, stirring the cloud into motion. Tiny particles of rock and ice begin to spin, drawn together by an invisible force. Gravity, the patient hand of the universe, begins its quiet choreography. You watch as circles form from chaos. What once floated freely now follows a rhythm. The cloud flattens into a disk, thin and bright, like a golden halo spinning in darkness. Within that disk, collisions spark, fragments merge, and the first hints of worlds appear. Each grain of dust becomes a dream of something larger, drawn by gravity's steady pull. Over thousands, millions of years, they gather, clump, and collide. You sense the slow heartbeat of creation, a rhythm too vast for the waking mind to hold. And yet it is real, steady, and beautiful in its patience. You float among the growing worlds, some no larger than pebbles, others already mountains of molten stone. When they collide, they do not vanish. They become something new, Even destruction here is a kind of birth. The dance continues. The larger bodies claim space for themselves, clearing their orbits like dancers marking a stage. Around them, smaller fragments scatter or spiral inward, feeding the hungry cores. You begin to understand how everything, even chaos, becomes harmony when guided by time and gravity. In the soft silence, you imagine hearing the music of orbits, a deep, invisible hum. Each planet, each moon, each drifting fragment has its note, its rhythm, its motion. Together, they form a cosmic symphony, unhearable by ears, but felt by every atom that has ever moved. You follow one of these forming worlds, a sphere still molten and glowing. It spins slowly, its surface rippling with rivers of fire. Over time, the fires cool, the planet hardens. Mountains rise from molten seas. You can almost see the slow exhalation of the cosmos, the deep sigh that follows creation. You realize that every circle in space, every orbit, is a story of balance. Gravity pulls inward, momentum carries outward. The two forces hold each other like dancers in perfect trust. Without this trust, the universe would scatter into silence. With it, there is grace, a continuous spiral of motion and stillness, creation and rest. You drift past the outer edges of the disk, where icy fragments glimmer like pale jewels. Out here, sunlight fades and silence deepens. The outer worlds are slower, colder, more distant, yet they belong to the same dance. Even the farthest orbit feels the warmth of connection, faint but eternal. You think of your own life, how every motion, every choice, is part of a rhythm larger than you. The orbits of planets mirror the orbits of thoughts, circles that repeat, refine, and evolve. You see how the brain, too, forms patterns, stable, graceful, sustained by invisible forces of memory and desire. The universe outside and the universe within are not so different as you float. You notice the trails of comets, bright messengers from the edge of creation. They dive toward the light, carrying ice and dust, then arc back into the dark. Their journeys are reminders that even those who leave return, that every motion in the cosmos finds its way home. Time slows further. The disk of dust becomes a family of worlds. The light of the central star glows steady, no longer chaotic but nurturing. Around it, planets move in serene repetition, day after day, year after year, epoch after epoch. Each orbit is a lullaby, each rotation a breath. You see patterns repeating on every scale, the dance of electrons around atomic cores, the spin of moons around planets, planets around stars, and stars around galactic centers. Circles within circles, infinite, interconnected, timeless. The same geometry of trust, the same language of motion. You let that realization settle deep inside you. Motion is not restlessness, it is balance. Even in constant movement, there is peace. The planets do not hurry. They do not struggle to hold their course. They simply move, held gently by the laws that guide all things. Your breath begins to match that rhythm, slow, circular, endless. Inhale, exhale, gravity and motion, tension and release. You feel yourself becoming part of the pattern, your mind orbiting calm itself. In the distance, you see a faint shimmer, a telescope's gaze, reaching across time. A signal from a distant observer, perhaps from your own future. trying to understand this same dance. You realize that every discovery, every observation, is another way the universe looks at itself, another reflection in the grand circle of awareness. The dust clears, the star burns bright and steady. Around it, a new system glows, complete, harmonious, full of potential. You can sense the seeds of life waiting quietly on one of these tiny worlds, hidden in warmth and water, patient as always. The journey feels both infinite and intimate. You understand now, the dance of planets is not only about physics, but about the longing of matter to belong, to orbit, to connect, to stay. You drift farther from the newborn system, watching it shrink into a small point of light. So many others glitter beyond it, billions of stars, each with their own circles of creation, each telling a version of the same story. Your mind softens, your body feels lighter. Everything from your heartbeat to the movement of galaxies seems to breathe together in one vast rhythm. The circles widen, the music deepens. Somewhere ahead, the story continues, toward the eyes that watch from afar, the instruments that read the light, the minds that wonder, how do we know these other worlds are really there? And so, gently, your awareness turns toward that next mystery, the quiet art of seeing what cannot be seen. The universe, so vast and quiet, begins to whisper again, this time through light. You float in that whisper, watching thin beams of starlight cross unimaginable distances. Their photons older than civilization, older even than memory. Each one carries a secret, a signature of something unseen. And somewhere, on a tiny blue world, a human eye or a metal mirror waits to catch it. You imagine the first people who ever looked upward. They had no telescopes, no equations, only the raw awe of wonder. Their eyes traced the constellations, weaving stories into the sky. In that moment, humanity became a species that looks. To look is to ask, and to ask is to awaken. Now, centuries later, that same longing continues, only our eyes have grown larger. You see them now, enormous mirrors, vast as lakes, turned toward the heavens. Radio dishes curve like open palms, listening for faint whispers of energy. In orbit, silent satellites drift, carrying polished hearts of glass telescopes that never blink, even when Earth sleeps. Each photon they catch began its journey long ago. Perhaps from a star like our sun, perhaps from one entirely different, older, redder, fainter. When a planet crosses in front of such a star, the light dips just slightly. To the human eye, this change would be invisible, a dimming less than the blink of a firefly in daylight. Yet, through patience, mathematics, and faith in light, we see it. You realize that the cosmos does not hide itself. It simply speaks quietly, and the astronomer's gift is learning how to listen. You drift now toward one of these cosmic listeners, the Kepler Space Telescope. It floats silently in the velvet dark, its sensors turned toward a single patch of sky. For years, it watched the same 150,000 stars, waiting for the faintest flicker, the smallest breath of shadow. Every dip in light was a possibility, a world passing before its sun. Each tiny change told a story of orbits, of distance, of unseen planets circling faraway fires. The thought feels sacred that with numbers and patience, humanity can sense worlds it will never touch. Light becomes language. Photons become messages, and darkness itself becomes a field of discovery. You follow one beam of light on its long voyage. It leaves a distant star, weaving through dust and time, past wandering comets and quiet nebulae. For hundreds of years, it travels unbroken, until at last it reaches the mirror of a telescope. There, it splits into a spectrum, a ribbon of color that carries every secret of its source: the star's temperature, its motion, its companions. You see, hidden in those lines, the fingerprints of unseen planets, their atmospheres bending starlight ever so slightly. Science, you realize, is not the opposite of wonder. It is its continuation. Every data point is a star's whisper. Every graph a translation of beauty into understanding. Now, you float beside a newer watcher, the James Webb Space Telescope. Its mirrors unfold like golden petals, capturing ancient light that left its source before Earth even existed. In that light, astronomers find the faint glow of exoplanets, each one orbiting a distant sun. Some are giant and hot, their atmospheres swirling like molten glass. Others are small and rocky, their surfaces perhaps kissed by water, maybe by clouds. Each is a question wrapped in distance. You imagine looking through that golden mirror yourself. What would it feel like to see a tiny world suspended in starlight, knowing that someone, somewhere, might be gazing back, not in words or signals, but through the quiet, shared act of existing under the same cosmic laws? The tools may be mechanical, but the purpose is deeply human. Our telescopes are not merely machines. They are extensions of curiosity, our own longing made metal and mirror. We send them into orbit, not because we are lost, but because we are home and want to understand what home means. You drift now over Earth, watching night sweep across continents. Cities glow like constellations. Telescopes on mountaintops blink softly under thin air. Each beam of starlight that reaches them becomes part of a human story, a dream recorded in photons in the stillness. You think about vision. To see across light years requires not just glass, but imagination. The eyes are only half of vision. The mind completes the image. When astronomers speak of discovering a world, what they truly mean is believing in its presence through patterns, shadows, and traces of light. Belief here is not blind faith. It is disciplined wonder, the willingness to trust what cannot be directly touched. You realize that the act of seeing the unseen connects deeply to your own inner perception. Just as telescopes detect faint signals amid noise, the mind, too, learns to sense meaning in quiet moments. Awareness, like starlight, travels across vast distances of thought, waiting to be received by a still, patient observer. The space around you seems to hum with that idea, that seeing, at its deepest level, is an act of connection. The light that enters your eyes, the thoughts that arise in your mind, the stars that shine billions of years away, all are part of the same exchange. As you drift further into the starfield, the idea becomes clearer. We do not simply find worlds by looking outward. We find them by learning to listen inward. The gaze that reaches across galaxies also reaches back into the heart. Now, you hover in a field of stars, each one pulsing softly, like a heartbeat. You imagine all the worlds that circle them, blue ones, frozen ones, ones with storms of methane and lightning, ones with oceans of glass or clouds of sapphire dust. Somewhere among them, perhaps, is a world like your own, green, breathing, quiet beneath its sky. The realization feels tender, that light itself may be the thread connecting every consciousness that has ever existed. A photon that left one world could, in time, touch another. Perhaps, one day, that light will carry a story of a species that learned to look gently into the dark and found not emptiness, but kinship. You take one last look at the telescope's golden eye. It floats against the endless black, serene and unblinking. Somewhere in its data lies the faint signature of a new world, a soft, rhythmic dimming of starlight that says something is there. You let that thought rest in your mind like a seed, because the next step in this journey is to follow that light, to travel in imagination into the atmospheres and colors of those faraway worlds, to listen to their chemical songs. The stars around you fade to a soft blur. The instruments fall quiet. And as you drift between light and shadow, the question rises in your thoughts, clear and unhurried. If we can see their skies, what might their skies be breathing? You drift now toward one of those hidden worlds, a small sphere, faintly blue, circling a sun that burns softer and redder than your own. At first, it looks like a pearl wrapped in mist, its surface blurred by the haze of its atmosphere. You approach slowly, feeling the layers of air thicken around you. They shimmer in pale light, forming invisible curtains that bend and scatter the starlight into color. This is what astronomers call spectra, the song of a planet's air. Each molecule hums at its own frequency, leaving a delicate pattern that can be read across the void. You imagine those scientists far away on Earth studying this music of light. They see lines on a graph, tiny dips and peaks, but to you, drifting here, those lines become voices. Oxygen whispers of breath, methane hums of warmth, water vapor sighs like clouds remembering rain. Each element carries the memory of what it has touched. The carbon has known stars. The hydrogen has been part of 1,000 suns. Even the simplest molecules are travelers, ancient beyond comprehension. They form, dissolve, and reform again, just as thoughts do within your own mind. You realize that a planet's atmosphere is not only its shield, but also its storyteller. It tells of storms and calm, of heat and cold, of how close it sleeps to its star. It tells whether water can fall as rain or freeze as crystal. And somewhere, within certain rare balances, it tells of life. You breathe gently, as though your own lungs are joining the rhythm of this distant air. You can almost taste its texture, thinner than Earth's, colder, faintly metallic. Yet, in that strangeness, there is something familiar. The idea of shelter, of a layer that holds warmth against the cold infinity of space. The wind moves here, though no ear can hear it. Invisible currents rise and fall, shaped by light and rotation, by heat and shadow. They form patterns, great circular storms that last for centuries, soft ribbons of movement that paint the unseen. You watch them turn slowly, graceful as dreams. You think of Earth's own sky, the one that holds you every day without your noticing. How it, too, is made of motion and light, of molecules dancing between warmth and cold. The atmosphere that cradles your world is both fragile and endless, a thin film of breath wrapped around stone and water. And now, far away, you see that same miracle repeated in countless variations. Some skies are violet, painted by methane and haze. Others glow gold in the perpetual sunset of a nearby star. There are planets with atmospheres of neon and hydrogen, with clouds of glass or iron rain. Even in such strangeness, beauty remains, a beauty born of physics, of chemistry, of time. You realize that every sky is a kind of memory. It remembers what its planet has endured, the collisions, the heat, the radiation, the storms. The molecules floating there are survivors of creation's first fire. To study an atmosphere is to read a history written in invisible ink. You drift higher, beyond the cloud tops, and look down. The light scatters through the layers below, forming colors that shift with every angle, blue at one glance, amber at another. The play of light feels alive, breathing with the planet's slow pulse far across space. You sense other worlds breathing too. The instruments on distant telescopes catch these breaths, not as wind or scent, but as faint traces of absorption in light. The same physics that lets you see a rainbow allows scientists to taste the air of another planet. They search for signs, the delicate fingerprint of oxygen, the shimmer of carbon dioxide, the trace of ozone. On Earth, these are the breaths of life. Their presence in another world's spectrum is a whisper of possibility. Perhaps somewhere, under an alien sun, something else is breathing too. You linger on that thought, letting it unfold slowly, like a sunrise seen through mist. The search for other atmospheres is not just about science, it's about kinship. To know another world's air is to touch its soul, even if no living thing moves beneath that sky. Its chemistry tells a story of balance and transformation. Maybe, once, its oceans boiled and vanished. Maybe, someday, they will return. Every world has its own rhythm of becoming, its own long inhale and exhale. You begin to feel the unity between your breath and the planets. You inhale, and somewhere, a world exhales hydrogen into space. You exhale, and somewhere, carbon bonds form anew in the dark. Breath, you realize, is a universal rhythm, the language of transformation. Time stretches. The planet rotates below you, slow and deliberate. The shadows of clouds move across continents of stone. The air glows faintly at the edge of twilight, where day and night meet in eternal conversation. You remember that on Earth, your atmosphere also glows, a thin halo of blue when seen from space. From a distance, it seems so fragile, so impossibly thin. And yet, within it, all of human history, all of music and memory has taken place. The breath of a planet holds its entire story. You feel gratitude then, not only for this distant air, but for your own, for the invisible oceans of molecules that hold you, cool you, carry your every sigh. The same atoms that once floated over alien skies now move through your lungs. The cosmos recycles everything, even breath. Above you, stars shine through the haze. Their light, too, has passed through 1,000 atmospheres before reaching your eyes. It carries traces of all it has touched: gas, dust, water, life. You are never looking at light alone. You are looking at everything it has passed through. You close your eyes and listen to the silence. In that stillness, You can almost hear the universe breathing softly, endlessly, through every layer of air and space and thought. And you wonder if the skies of distant planets can reveal so much through mere color and pattern. What might we learn if we could listen even closer? What stories might be hidden in the winds, the clouds, the invisible pulse of alien weather? You drift away slowly, carried by the same invisible current that moves all things. Ahead lies the next mystery, the diversity of those skies and worlds, each with its own rhythm and song. Your mind grows lighter, like a cloud dissolving into dawn. The question lingers softly, a doorway to the next dream. What wonders wait among those strange suns and silent moons? You float between stars, each one a world of light. Around you stretches the quiet infinity of space, painted in a tapestry of color, not just the familiar golden suns, but crimson, sapphire, and white-blue fires that pulse like living hearts. Each star is its own rhythm, its own heartbeat of energy. Some flicker gently, their light steady and calm. Others roar with power, casting waves of radiation across billions of miles. You sense them not only as sources of light, but as souls of their own kind, cosmic furnaces, turning chaos into order, darkness into brilliance. Your path brings you near a red dwarf star. Its light feels soft, intimate, like the last glow of evening on an endless horizon. Planets circle close, bound by gravity's delicate hand. The warmth here is faint, but constant, and so these small worlds cling tightly to their sun, one side always facing the light, the other forever turned to shadow. On one such planet, twilight is eternal. The horizon burns orange and indigo, caught between day and night. Here, winds whisper endlessly, from the hot to the cold, balancing the temperature like breath through a sleeping chest. You drift through that air, feeling the slow pulse of a world that has found peace between extremes. You think of balance, how life, wherever it exists, must find its place between opposites, light and dark, heat and cold, chaos and stillness. The universe itself seems to breathe between these poles, creating harmony through tension. Beyond the red dwarf lies a system of brighter stars, a binary pair, locked in a slow, eternal dance. They circle one another like lovers, their gravity weaving patterns through space. As they orbit, their light overlaps, creating waves of shadow and brilliance across the planets that follow them. Days here are unlike any you have known. Two dawns, two dusks, sometimes both suns setting together, sometimes one rising as the other falls. You imagine standing on the surface of one of those worlds, watching twin shadows stretch across silver sand. The light would seem alive, rippling like water, a constant interplay of gold and white. Perhaps the beings that live there, if they exist, would know no true night. Perhaps they would dream in layers of light, never in darkness. And yet, even light's eternal presence cannot erase the need for rest. You realize that sleep, even cosmic sleep, belongs to the rhythm of existence. Stars, too, must fade someday. They burn through their fuel, grow swollen and red, and then collapse inward or scatter their elements into space. Their deaths are not endings, but transformations. The way a tree releases its leaves to feed the soil, every atom in your body, in every planet, was once part of a dying star. You are the dust of ancient suns, reassembled into thought. That truth feels both infinite and intimate, the same warmth that once shone on alien skies now flows in your blood. You drift past a nebula, the grave and cradle of stars. It glows in colors too delicate to name: violet, rose, aquamarine. Here, gas and dust swirl like mist, folding and unfolding as new suns ignite. The light that escapes seems both newborn and ancient. In this place, silence feels sacred. You could almost believe the universe is whispering a lullaby to itself. Amid these glowing clouds, you sense the forming of future systems, places where millions of years from now, planets will circle in harmony. You are watching the beginning of time for worlds not yet imagined. Then, further still, your journey takes you to moons, the quiet companions of planets. Some are small and cratered, relics of ancient collisions. Others are vast, wrapped in ice or cloaked in fog. Unlike the blazing suns, moons do not create light, they borrow it. They are reflections, echoes of brilliance, and yet, in their silence, they hold power. You drift near one such moon, a frozen sphere orbiting a gas giant the color of turquoise. Its surface is pale and cracked, glowing faintly in the starlight. Beneath its icy crust lies an ocean, warmed by the gravitational pull of the giant planet it serves. It moves, unseen, in slow currents, a secret sea in the dark. You realize that silence does not mean stillness. Even when a world looks asleep, life may stir beneath its frozen surface. Energy flows invisibly, preparing possibilities. The cosmos hides its miracles in quiet places. Another moon rises ahead, this one volcanic, scarred by constant eruption. Plumes of molten rock burst into space, freezing mid-flight into crystals. It is wild, fierce, yet beautiful. Each eruption is a heartbeat, each tremor a reminder that creation often wears the mask of destruction. You pass between these extremes, one moon silent and frozen, another alive with fire. Between them, you find the balance that defines existence. The universe, you see, does not choose between stillness and motion. It contains both, eternally cycling between them. You remember the moon of your own Earth, how it too is silent and still, yet pulls at your oceans, your sleep, your dreams. Its gravity moves tides. Its light touches lovers and poets alike. The same invisible thread that connects Earth and Moon also binds every sun and satellite in the universe. The quiet language of gravity, shaping all things through presence, never through sound. You look toward a distant horizon where countless stars shimmer. Some are giants, vast and burning white. Others are so faint they seem like whispers on the edge of perception. You realize that light itself is a language, each wavelength a word, each photon a messenger. And as you travel through this endless library of suns and moons, you begin to understand that the universe does not shout. It speaks through glow, through gravity, through rhythm. Its beauty lies not in noise, but in balance. Time seems to slow until even movement feels like rest. The stars above you no longer appear separate. They merge into a single field of living light. You sense their shared heartbeat, a pulse that moves through galaxies, through atoms, through you. In that vast calm, a thought arises. Maybe silence is not emptiness, but the sound of harmony too deep to hear. The moons, the suns, the dust, all hum together, softly. In a language older than time, you drift closer to a small yellow star, familiar in color, yet foreign in tone. Around it, planets dance with quiet precision. One glimmers blue, not with oceans, but with clouds of methane reflecting light like glass. You pass above it, watching its moon rise slowly from the horizon. The sight feels both lonely and complete, as if the universe itself were exhaling after an endless breath. You begin to feel the next calling, the pull toward understanding why this harmony exists, why stars live and die, why moons remain loyal in their silence, why all things cycle in beauty rather than chaos. The question forms not in words, but in feeling, like a shimmer of curiosity passing through your thoughts. It is soft, unhurried, and full of wonder. You turn slowly, facing the distant spiral of a galaxy, glowing like a luminous flower in the dark. Its arms curl gently, carrying billions of suns and uncounted moons. Somewhere in that dance lies the answer, not in a single world, but in the pattern that unites them all. You drift toward it, drawn by gravity and curiosity, by awe and peace. The light fades to blue, then to deep violet. Stars blur into mist, and in the silence, before the next awakening, a whisper lingers. What if the dance of suns and moons is only the first movement of something greater, the secret geometry of the cosmos itself? You float through silence that feels alive with order. Around you, the stars no longer appear scattered. They form gentle spirals, arcs, and lattices of light. What once seemed infinite and random now reveals a subtle structure, a geometry written in the fabric of existence. You realize that every motion, every orbit, every wave follows a rhythm. The universe, in its quiet way, moves with mathematical grace. Galaxies curl into spirals not by chance, but by the laws of gravity and time. Planets trace ellipses like brushstrokes on a cosmic canvas. Even the smallest atom hums in repeating patterns, its electrons dancing to a music too high to hear. You drift toward a spiral galaxy, vast beyond imagining. From a distance, it resembles a living thing, arms swirling outward, luminous with billions of suns. You notice how each curve mirrors itself, how each spiral echoes the same ratio found in seashells, hurricanes, and flowers on Earth. The golden ratio, hidden in nature's quiet symmetry, now shines across the heavens. This realization warms you, the thought that the same design shaping galaxies also shapes the curl of a fern, the whirl of your own fingerprint. The universe, it seems, does not draw distinction between large and small. Its geometry is universal, repeated endlessly at every scale. As you move closer, you begin to sense motion, not as speed, but as flow. Stars glide in perfect arcs around the galaxy's core, a black hole, dark yet luminous in its gravity. You cannot see it directly, but you feel its pull, a center around which everything moves. It is both nothing and everything, absence and presence. The still point of infinite motion. You pause there, letting that idea settle in your thoughts. Even the most powerful forces are invisible. Even the center of a galaxy is defined by stillness. It reminds you of the mind, how thought, emotion, and memory orbit around a quiet awareness within. Geometry, you realize, is not just shape. It is relationship, balance, harmony between opposites in this floating moment. You see the cosmos not as an explosion, but as a design unfolding, an ever-growing mandala drawn by the forces of time. You drift along the arm of the spiral, feeling how gravity weaves light into structure. It pulls without command, shapes without sound. You think of music, again, the way notes, though separate, combine into chords. The universe, too, is a chord. Every star, every planet, every particle vibrating in resonance. Your journey carries you deeper, beyond stars and dust, to where invisible fields stretch between galaxies. These are the filaments of the cosmic web, vast threads of dark matter connecting clusters of worlds. They are unseen, yet they guide everything, like roots beneath a forest floor. You imagine touching one. It feels neither solid nor fluid, but alive, like the pulse of a great organism. The structure of the universe becomes a living being in your mind's eye. Galaxies, its cells; light, its breath; gravity, its heartbeat. You are drifting within its body, listening to the silence between heartbeats. Patterns begin to reveal themselves in new forms: hexagons in Saturn's poles, spirals in hurricanes, rings in ripples of water, fractals in frost. The same geometry repeats, from molecules to mountains to galaxies. Each repetition is not exact, but harmonious variation within design. Like verses in an endless poem, you begin to sense that geometry is not only in things, but in time itself. The rhythm of orbits, the cycle of birth and decay, even your breathing, all part of a universal pattern. The cosmos dances to equations written long before consciousness, yet somehow reflected in your thoughts tonight. You remember a whisper of wisdom from long ago, that mathematics is the language of the universe. But what you feel now is softer, deeper. It is not a language of numbers, but of shapes that sing. The equations of physics become poetry when seen through stillness. You close your eyes, and behind them the geometry continues to bloom. Spirals unfold, triangles interlock, waves flow and intersect. They feel both abstract and alive. Perhaps geometry is not merely how the universe is built. Perhaps it is the universe, dreaming itself into being through form. As you drift further, you find yourself before a cluster of stars, arranged in almost perfect symmetry. 6 radiant points, forming a crystalline pattern. Between them lies darkness, like ink between letters. You realize that form and emptiness are partners, one defining the other. A shape without space cannot exist. A void without form is meaningless. That balance feels familiar, the same balance that shapes thought, emotion, sleep. You, too, are made of patterns and pauses, of motion and stillness. The same geometry that guides galaxies guides the rhythm of your mind. You sense time stretching, folding like a spiral, turning inward. You are no longer just observing geometry. You are inside it, part of it. You feel your awareness expand, not outward, but through dimensions you cannot name. The symmetry around you becomes sound, a vibration that hums in every atom of your being. And then, quietly, an understanding forms. Geometry is the stillness beneath motion, the structure beneath chaos, the harmony beneath change. It is the memory of the universe, the pattern it follows to remain whole. You think of how humans once drew circles to measure time, mapped stars into constellations, traced the paths of planets to predict their seasons. In doing so, they were listening to this same ancient geometry, translating the cosmos into symbols of meaning. The compass, the orbit, the spiral, all ways of touching infinity with human hands. You open your eyes to find the galaxy fading behind you, its arms glowing like soft rivers of light. Ahead lies something grander, not a single galaxy, but the tapestry of many, spread across an invisible plane. Their arrangement seems deliberate, almost artistic. You see spirals, ellipses, clusters forming webs and voids, and you realize you are looking at the geometry of the universe itself, a masterpiece drawn on a scale beyond comprehension in its stillness. It feels like a single thought, clear, vast, and serene. The cosmos, you realize, is thinking not in words, but in patterns. The realization brings peace. You understand that nothing is random. Even what seems chaotic has its rhythm, its hidden symmetry. The spiral of galaxies mirrors the spiral of DNA. The orbit of stars mirrors the cycles of life. Geometry binds all things, from atoms to dreams. You drift in this awareness until your breath aligns with the pulse of distant stars. The pattern continues endlessly outward, into galaxies, inward into the cells of your body. Everywhere, the same law, harmony through form. You let go of thought, letting the geometry carry you like a current. The shapes fade, replaced by color, deep blue, violet, and gold, swirling together in slow motion. It feels like watching consciousness itself unfold, quiet and eternal. And as the light softens, another question begins to form, gentle, patient, like dawn after a long night. If geometry is the pattern of the cosmos, what rhythm guides the heart of life itself? You drift downward through clouds of light and time, until the stars above begin to blur into something softer, a sphere of blue and white, spinning slowly in the darkness. Earth appears beneath you like a living jewel. You feel its rhythm before you even see its surface, a steady, ancient pulse moving through oceans, winds, and forests. As you draw closer, that rhythm becomes sound. It's not a song in the way your ears understand, but a deep, resonant hum that threads through every living thing. The same patterns that shaped galaxies now breathe here, in waves, in tides. In the rise and fall of your own chest, you land gently among trees, their branches stretching upward like the spiral arms of galaxies. Each leaf trembles with starlight filtered through air. You realize that even here, geometry remains. Veins in leaves mirror rivers on the ground, which mirror lightning in the sky, which mirror the branching pathways of neurons in your brain. Fractal patterns, the language of the universe, now whisper through life itself. You place your hand against the bark of a tree and feel it, the slow rhythm of growth. Invisible rivers move within it, carrying water and sunlight, transforming air into matter. Life, you realize, is the cosmos finding a new way to move, not through orbit or gravity, but through breath. You listen closely. Every living thing breathes in rhythm. The ocean inhales and exhales through tides. The earth spins to mark the day and rests to form the night. Even your body, without effort, joins this dance. Heartbeats, brain waves, sleep cycles, all tuned to rhythms that began long before you were born. Somewhere in the vast past, those rhythms were written by the stars. The rotation of the earth sets the measure of time. The pull of the moon stirs the oceans. The tilt of the planet shapes the seasons. Life arose not apart from these forces, but because of them. Every heartbeat carries the echo of that first cosmic rhythm. The same pulse that once guided atoms in a star's core now beats quietly beneath your ribs. You breathe in, and the air you draw has been everywhere, through lungs, through leaves, through oceans and clouds. Every breath connects you to the past, the exhalations of ancient forests, the sighs of early creatures, the dying whispers of long extinct stars. Life does not begin or end. It circulates, just as galaxies do. You begin to feel how rhythm guides everything, not just in nature, but in thought. Neurons fire in patterns, not chaos. Memory arises in waves. Even emotion, subtle and shifting, has its pulse. Calm, joy, sorrow, all move through you like tides shaped by unseen gravity. The brain is a universe within itself, orbiting through feeling and awareness, endlessly reforming, endlessly alive. Somewhere in your memory, a voice from earlier chapters whispers, "The universe breathes through patterns." You now see how life is one of those patterns, a temporary configuration of energy and matter arranged in self-sustaining rhythm. The stars burn, the cells divide. Both are expressions of the same music. You walk through a field of tall grass under a night sky. The wind passes through the blades like fingers over strings. The sound is gentle, continuous, and layered. Each rustle seems random, but together they form a flowing unity. That, you realize, is what life is. Harmony, arising from countless tiny fluctuations. Even chaos, you see now, is rhythm in disguise, a pulse too complex, too easily follow. Storms, migrations, heartbeat irregularities, even the fluctuations of ecosystems all move in cycles, self-correcting and renewing over time. Life is not order or disorder. It is the dance between them. You think of your own body, the way your heart synchronizes with your breath when you rest, the way your brain waves slow as you fall asleep, the way cells communicate through rhythmic pulses of ions and light. You are not separate from the universe's geometry. You are its living continuation. You lie down in the grass, feeling the planet's pulse beneath you, a faint vibration, like a drumbeat beneath layers of soil and stone. Scientists call it the Earth's hum, a resonance that moves through the crust and oceans, generated by wind, water, and the subtle shifting of the ground. But to you, in this quiet state, it feels like the heartbeat of the cosmos itself. The night deepens, and you watch stars reflect in your eyes like mirrors. You realize that they are not just above you, they are within you. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your breath, all once formed inside a star. You are literally made of rhythm, born from the pulse of nuclear fusion and reassembled into consciousness. This truth feels not scientific, but sacred. Life is not a separate phenomenon from the universe. It is the universe aware of itself, breathing, wondering, resting. You remember that every living system, from cells to forests to societies, thrives on rhythm. Where rhythm breaks, disorder begins. Where it flows, harmony returns. The balance between effort and rest, motion and stillness, is written into everything. Even the smallest heartbeat obeys it. The moon rises slowly above the horizon, bathing the landscape in silver light. You watch its glow shimmer on leaves, rivers, and clouds. The same light that governs tides now touches your skin. For a moment, everything, stars, air, heart, and thought, moves together in one vast, slow rhythm. You close your eyes, and within the dark, you see waves. They roll softly, endlessly, like breath. Each wave carries life forward, not as repetition, but as evolution. Patterns deepen, adapt, and find new forms. You realize that rhythm is not just movement in time. It is the way energy organizes itself to endure. And in this quiet understanding, a feeling arises, one of connection, humility, and awe. You are not apart from nature, nor merely within it. You are part of its rhythm, a single note in an endless melody. The universe breathes through you. Every heartbeat is a reminder of that. The stars above flicker gently, like fireflies across the infinite. Their light, reaching you after millions of years, seems to sync with your pulse. Each flash feels like a whisper from across time. You are part of the pattern. You are part of the song. You breathe out slowly, and the world around you exhales with you. Wind through grass, waves across distant shores, galaxies turning in quiet unison in the stillness that follows. A new curiosity awakens, soft and luminous. If life moves through rhythm, what deeper harmony connects all living things? The invisible thread that binds consciousness across space and time. You open your eyes to a sky full of quiet light. Stars shimmer like neurons firing in a brain too vast to comprehend. You realize that each point of light is both distant and deeply connected, a part of something greater, a pattern beyond sight. As you drift through space once more, the boundary between you and it begins to blur. The rhythm of life you felt before continues here, but now it feels more intimate, not a pulse of matter, but of awareness. You wonder, where does consciousness begin? In a cell, in the firing of neurons, or perhaps much earlier in the alignment of atoms, the pull of gravity, the flow of light. You recall how the stars communicate through energy, how magnetic fields weave unseen messages between galaxies. Perhaps thought itself is just another form of energy, organized, reflected, and self-aware. As you float past a nebula, a vast, glowing cloud of gas and dust, you notice how its filaments look strikingly familiar. They resemble the neural pathways of the human brain. In one image, the cosmic and the biological overlap, as if the universe were mapping itself within you. A thought forms gently. Maybe consciousness is not created, but remembered. Maybe every living thing reawakens a small piece of the universe's original awareness. The moment when energy first realized it existed, you drift further, and Earth comes into view again, glowing softly beneath its halo of air. From this height, you see cities flicker like clusters of neurons, connected by filaments of light. The planet hums with information, voices, and dreams. Each human mind, a spark in the network of awareness, reflecting the cosmos in miniature. The idea soothes you. you are not alone in thought. Every being, every movement of consciousness, from whales to trees to stars, contributes to a collective reflection, a grand mirror of existence. The universe looks at itself through countless eyes, feels itself through countless hearts, and dreams itself through countless minds. You remember how quantum physics suggests that observation changes reality, that particles exist in many states until something witnesses them. In that sense, awareness shapes the world, not merely perceives it. Consciousness is participation. Every act of seeing is an act of creation. The night around you deepens, and your thoughts slow. You begin to sense awareness, not as something you possess, but as something you rest within, a vast ocean of presence that moves through everything. You are not the thinker of thoughts, but a wave rising from this sea of awareness, forming briefly before returning to calm. As you drift through this realization, you find yourself standing on a mountain beneath a silver sky. The air is still. You can hear your heartbeat echo softly in your ears, and behind it, something quieter, a hum that doesn't belong to sound, but to being. You look at the horizon. A forest stretches below. Rivers shimmer like threads of mercury, and the stars above mirror the patterns of the land. It feels as though the entire landscape is conscious, not thinking, but aware. The trees listen. The water remembers. The earth dreams in slow motion. Scientists once called this idea the Gaia hypothesis, the thought that Earth behaves like a single, living organism. But what if this awareness extends even further, not just to the planet, but to the entire cosmos? Perhaps galaxies are its organs, stars, its neurons, and life, its self-reflective thought. You inhale deeply. The air feels alive. Each breath enters you, transforms, and leaves, but the awareness that notices never changes. You realize that consciousness is the only constant. Everything else, matter, form, time, flows, and transforms. Awareness simply witnesses, forever still, forever present. The realization deepens when you think of how the human brain works, not as a solid structure, but as an evolving web of connections. Neurons communicate through pulses of electricity, forming networks that grow stronger the more they are used. This plasticity, the ability to change and learn, is the mind's way of mirroring the universe's adaptability. You see now that evolution itself is an expression of awareness. Life learning about itself through trial and change. The cosmos experimenting with form until it can look back and say, I am. You look again toward the stars and wonder if awareness could exist without form. Could a star be aware? Could a galaxy, through its patterns of gravity and light, experience a kind of cosmic knowing? Perhaps not as humans do, but in its own vast, silent language. You drift through the Milky Way's glowing arms, feeling each pulse of radiation, each wave of magnetism, as part of one immense nervous system. Awareness here is not individual, it is shared. The cosmos thinks, not in words, but in motion, and as you move through it, something begins to mirror within you. Thoughts arise, not as sentences, but as sensations, warmth, clarity, stillness. You begin to understand that to be conscious is to participate in the universe's unfolding. You pause and let your mind settle completely. For a moment, there is no distinction between you and the stars, between thought and silence. You are simply awareness, infinite, unbounded, awake in this stillness. You feel the presence of every being that has ever lived, from the first bacteria in ancient seas to the distant civilizations that may one day awaken on other worlds. Each consciousness, like a candle, contributing to the same light, none separate, none lost. You realize that when one being becomes aware, the entire web brightens. Every thought of compassion, every act of curiosity, every moment of wonder resonates across the field of existence. Awareness ripples through time and space, touching all that is. The stars above shimmer more brightly now, as if responding to your recognition. You feel a warmth in your chest, not emotion exactly, but understanding. The cosmos is not a cold expanse. It is a living field of awareness, discovering itself through you. You think of the ancient mystics who once said, "As above, so below." They were not speaking in metaphor, but describing the reflection of the infinite within the finite. The universal consciousness mirrored in each human soul. You breathe again, and the air feels lighter. Awareness flows through you effortlessly, like light through glass. It does not belong to you, it is you, it is everything. As this understanding deepens, you begin to feel yourself dissolve into that web. Every boundary softens body, thought, name, and form, until all that remains is presence. It feels eternal, peaceful, and vast, and in this vastness, you sense something else emerging, a deeper mystery, waiting beyond awareness itself. If the cosmos is conscious, then what dream does it hold? What vision moves through its infinite imagination? The question rises gently, shimmering in your mind like a reflection on water. If the universe is aware, what does it dream of becoming next? You imagine standing at the edge of a black hole, a place where time bends and meaning stretches thin. There, even light is held captive, drawn into an unknowable center. And yet, beyond that veil, new universes may bloom, the dreams of dreams. Reality folds, curls, and begins again. It feels like breathing in slow motion, like the universe inhaling itself. Perhaps that's what consciousness is, the cosmos becoming aware of its own dreaming. You, this fragile, luminous being made of star remnants and thought, are one of its eyes open in the dark. Your curiosity is its mirror. Your wonder, its continuation. You think of how fragile imagination can seem, a passing flicker, a fleeting idea, and yet it builds worlds. It moves atoms. It writes galaxies into being. The softest dream can outlast a mountain. When you close your eyes tonight, your mind will wander, not idly, but cosmically. You may drift through places that have never existed, and yet somehow do. Your sleeping brain rehearses creation, just as the stars once did. Each dream, a small echo of the original creation, pure potential, wrapped in quiet beauty. And in that vast loop, the dreaming of the universe, the dreaming of you, there is no boundary, only reflection. Every discovery you make out there mirrors one inside. Every heartbeat, every breath, every question adds a note to the universe's ongoing song. The galaxies hum softly now, their chorus fading to a low, eternal vibration, the background radiation of everything that ever was. It sounds almost like a lullaby, like the first sound and the last dot. As you drift, your body dissolves into that hum, no longer a single point of awareness, but a field, open endless, woven through light and dark alike. You are not falling asleep in the universe. You are falling asleep as the universe. Each inhale gathers stars. Each exhale releases worlds. Each moment balances between nothing and everything, the cosmos. At peace, dreams itself once more, through your stillness, through your breath, through your soft surrender to sleep. And somewhere, far beyond sight, a new spark flickers. A question takes form, and the dreaming begins again. The stars are not asleep, though their shimmer feels like a sigh. Each one burns with a quiet purpose, not of will, but of being. In their glow, you see the reflection of something infinite, yet intimate, the imagination of the cosmos itself. You drift through the dark sea between galaxies, the silence so complete it seems alive. Your body feels weightless, as though thought itself has become your vessel. The stars stretch endlessly, their light soft and ancient, billions of years crossing the black just to touch your eyes. You think of all that came before. The first dust swirling in newborn light, the silent circling of worlds, the breath of alien skies, and the deep geometry holding it all together. Each piece of the story, every law, every pattern, every possibility, feels connected by something beyond logic. Something like wonder. Perhaps creation began not with a command, but with a dream, a slow, unfurling thought in the vast stillness. And from that question, everything followed: light, time, motion, and life. The universe, then, is not a machine. It is a mind, vast, reflective, endlessly imagining itself into form. Galaxies spiral like thoughts, stars ignite like ideas, and planets bloom like sentences within a cosmic story that never ends. As you drift deeper, you begin to sense how imagination threads through everything. Your own mind is not separate from the universe's dreaming. It is one of its expressions. When you close your eyes, you create light within darkness, shapes within stillness, worlds within silence. The same patterns that birth stars guide your neurons, echoing across unimaginable scales. Your thoughts are constellations. Your memories are galaxies. Your emotions, comets made of light and shadow. The cosmos dreams through you, and you dream through it. In that realization, something softens inside you. The idea of separation fades between inner and outer, observer and observed, self and star. You feel the pulse of your heartbeat aligning with the slow rhythm of the Milky Way's rotation. You breathe, and somewhere, a nebula exhales. Even the smallest particle vibrates with the potential to become something more. Quantum fields, those invisible ocean waves beneath reality, shimmer with uncertainty. The same uncertainty that gives birth to choice, creativity, and possibility. You understand now that uncertainty is not chaos, it is freedom. The freedom of a dream still forming. You picture the surface of an exoplanet, perhaps one with violet skies and silver oceans. Perhaps no life has yet walked there, but within its soil, within its molecules, the blueprint of life waits, a cosmic lullaby, whispered by starlight, waiting for the right warmth, the right rhythm, the right breath. And someday, something will awaken there and look up, just as you are now, wondering who else might be dreaming. Creation, it seems, is recursive, a dream dreaming itself, awake again and again. Every end is only a pause, every silence a preparation for new music. Even the death of a star scatters seeds for future light. You imagine standing at the edge of a black hole, a place where time bends and meaning stretches thin. There, even light is held captive, drawn into an unknowable center. And yet, beyond that veil, new universes may bloom, the dreams of dreams. Reality folds, curls, and begins again. It feels like breathing in slow motion, like the universe inhaling itself. Perhaps that's what consciousness is, the cosmos becoming aware of its own dreaming. You, this fragile, luminous being made of star remnants and thought, are one of its eyes open in the dark. Your curiosity is its mirror. Your wonder, its continuation. You think of how fragile imagination can seem, a passing flicker, a fleeting idea, and yet it builds worlds. It moves atoms. It writes galaxies into being. The softest dream can outlast a mountain. When you close your eyes tonight, your mind will wander, not idly, but cosmically. You may drift through places that have never existed, and yet somehow do. Your sleeping brain rehearses creation, just as the stars once did. Each dream, a small echo of the original creation, pure potential, wrapped in quiet beauty. And in that vast loop, the dreaming of the universe, the dreaming of you, there is no boundary, only reflection. Every discovery you make out there mirrors one inside. Every heartbeat, every breath, every question adds a note to the universe's ongoing song. The galaxies hum softly now, their chorus fading to a low, eternal vibration, the background radiation of everything that ever was. It sounds almost like a lullaby, like the first sound and the last dot. As you drift, your body dissolves into that hum, no longer a single point of awareness, but a field, open, endless, woven through light and dark alike. You are not falling asleep in the universe. You are falling asleep as the universe. Each inhale gathers stars. Each exhale releases worlds. Each moment balances between nothing and everything, the cosmos. At peace, dreams itself once more, through your stillness, through your breath, through your soft surrender to sleep. And somewhere, far beyond sight, a new spark flickers. A question takes form, and the dreaming begins again.